activated only once in a session. So, playing the game. Action. Your character can take actions in order to get a desired result. To do so, you declare what they are trying to do, and the GM declares the score required. The player then commits dice and roll. Okay. Make sure you don't play on a small table or the die often roll off and it gets annoying after a while. Just a top tip. Goal mode. When an encounter begins, the GM tells the players what the situation is, and the players set out objectives and how to achieve them. The GM then sets the number and height of bars for each goal and the outcome for achieving them. The bars represent steps towards the player's objective, and each objective has an amount of bars. Each bar has an amount you need to add up from the result of the dice rolls to overcome it, its height. When those bars are met, the objective is achieved. So, turn orders. The PCs go first, then the NPCs. First friendly, then neutral, then hostile, and lastly environmental effects. Each party's turn ends when they don't have any dice to roll or pass the turn. Hostiles. In this mode, hostiles take actions on their turn and try to either complete their objective or attack the players. They can roll to defend themselves. Hostiles are generally in groups, neutralizing the group function, much like goals and bars. With each group has an amount of enemies in it, equivalent to 2 bars, and each member contributes dice for the group to use to offend the party.
So, for example, 5 goblins is going to be, you're going to need to roll above 4 5 times, and each time you roll above 4, a goblin is dead, and for every goblin that's alive, they're going to roll a d4 in order to attack the party, defend themselves, or do something else.
Okay. So, when each member contributes dice for the group to use to defend the party, defend themselves, and to complete their objective. I'll finish the sentence. Sorry. Right, so fearsome enemies composed of an individual will possess many bars to be overcome before they are felled. Important NPCs will have dice pools of their own, so beware. The encounter ends when neither the players nor their adversaries have any goals they can pursue. Failing. That isn't a word in my vocabulary. If you fail an objective, you can burn a die. You treat the die as though it's exhausted completely, it downgrades to no die. Then you can change the result to the highest number possible for said die. Movement. In some locations, you can move without rolling die, especially depending on your speed and the distance you wish to traverse. You might need a dice roll. Now, combat. When you attack, you try to damage an opponent. Declare the target, choose your dice, roll. The target or anyone is able to can react to defend. He makes a roll of his own to negate the damage, and if he fails to roll above the attack, he is damaged. When a defense is higher than an attack by double the value of the attack, it is negated, and provided the situation allows it, can make a counterattack with an equivalent value to the difference from the original attack. So damage. Now, damage, whenever an attack lands, the receiver loses the whole die. It does not downgrade. The nature of the attack determines what dice pool gets damaged, and after a long rest of a few hours, you get all the dice back. Losing all your dice in a body pool makes you unconscious or knocked out, depending on the situation. All dice in the mental pool is a mental shock.
Losing all the dice.
That makes you knocked out. Losing all the dice in the mental pool is a mental shock. Whenever a power pool is left without dice, something negative happens. Go to power pool section. First, we have a reaction.
Yes.
So some dice rolls happen outside of an encounter. There are no stated goals, just seeing if you can notice something. Dodge a sucker punch, remember law, etc. For these rolls, you can only use dice in a pool up to the amount of edge in that pool. Now, there are some advantages.
Do you get that? Do you get that part? Like you said, make a reaction roll with your mind pool. What would you do?
So what do you? So if someone's attacking me, do I have a chance to get out?
Let's say you want to notice someone. You need to notice something. and
or react to a trap or something like that.
yeah, something with that, and you have to make a reaction with your mental pool. What dice would you roll?
Blimey, off the top of my head, that's the D4s, isn't it? So there'd be some D4s.
Well, how many D4s would you roll?
It depends on what the situation is, doesn't it?
It depends on how many edge points you have.
Okay, I would say it completely depends on the number of edge points. Okay.
Because if you have 1 edge points, you can roll 1 dice in your mental pool, and if you have 2, you can roll 2. And
okay.
you get to choose which ones you roll.
So yes, it's like a mental.
It's just the faculties you have available at the moment, in a sense.
Okay, advantage and disadvantages. Doing things that are harder offers a disadvantage. This means that after a player rolls his high scoring dice, he will get re-rolled, the biggest die in a tie. Let me say that again, because that didn't quite make sense to me. Doing things that are harder offers a disadvantage. This means that after a player rolls his high scoring dice, it will get re-rolled, the biggest dice in a tie. The biggest, the highest scoring dice, is that, or that's
the biggest die, like a D6 or
D12.
If you have like a 3 on a D4 and a D6, you're gonna roll the D6.
So the large, okay, the biggest dice, the large, yeah. The opposite is an advantage. Doing things in an easier way, the lowest scoring dice gets re-rolled, or the biggest dice in a tie. You can choose not to re-roll. An advantage and a disadvantage cancel each other out. Advantages stack, so do disadvantages, meaning you will roll the highest die and then roll the highest die after the result or the lowest for an advantage. The maximum number of...
That's reversed, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the lowest. Yes, the lowest after the result or the lowest advantage. The maximum number of advantages or disadvantages is 3. That gets in a stack, I guess. Disadvantages come from the hindrances and making things harder than usual. Advantages come from teamwork, good tools, and tactical advantages. Role playing and hero points. Hero points are always cool. If you role play well, take risks for your goals, or act on your drives at great peril, you get a hero point, probably at the discretion of the DM. So I suggest complimenting his Hawaiian shirt. That may help. You can expand it to get the maximum roll on all your dice for one action. You can change your drive. However, make sure there is a reason for it to change. The bigger the drive, the more meaningful the cause of the change should be. The bigger the drive, the more meaningful the cause of the change, yes, should be. Progression. At the start of a campaign, set out goals for your character. They ought to be related to the campaign or their drives. When they achieve them, they get an upgrade point for their dice pool. Goals give rewards based on the drives they were based on. Major gives 3, medium 2, and minor 1. You can only gain upgrade points for each goal for each type of trait, major, medium, minor. You can pursue more than one at a time. If the goal is major or medium, set out steps to reach it. When you achieve that step, add 1 upgrade point. Makes sense?
So you get 3 steps for a major goal. Like, let's say there's a major goal, you can only get 3 points from it. You would set up 3 steps to get it. Because making milestones is OP.
Order of operations. There are a few things for the player to do in an encounter. First, think of what you want to do. Second, tell the GM what you are trying to do, how and with what. Always complimenting the GM, offering him drinks, beer, chocolate, sweets, anything that will give you a subconscious advantage in the situation. The GM tells you what number you need and if you're at advantage or disadvantage dependent on the quality of the beer you have offered him. Choose which dice to use, apply flair if you wish, and roll them. Apply advantage or disadvantage, background re-roll if you wish. Use hero points or drive dice or burn dice, and then repeat steps from choosing the dice until the round is over. Now, after that, you look at the dice on the table, you apply edge to stop the dice from downgrading if you wish, decide what dice gets removed from damage, and the dice then get downgraded.
The end.
Right.
Okay, so now that you get how the mechanics